Hi, Stephen. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great being here.
Oh, it's great to have you. I was reading about you on your Amazon page, the author bio. And I'm going to let you do all the talking there because I think you'll be able to describe yourself a whole lot better than I can. We're going to be talking about quite a few books, some that you released this year in 2024 and some in 2023 and even beyond that. And each one of those sound very interesting. But first, why don't you tell us all about yourself, who you are, where you live, and all those things that I read about you on your bio.
Well, I'm Steve Joseph. I am the author of, first of all, I'm an attorney. Uh, I've been an attorney for like 38 years, so I've been an attorney quite a while. Uh, I'm also, I'm a marathon runner. I just ran New York City, my 20th New York City marathon this past Sunday. And when you get up in age, it's always like, is this going to be the last marathon? And that's it. I'm done. Like the boxer who had too many boxing matches, got hit in the head too many times. I feel good. I'm ready for the next one, so I'm excited about that. And I'm also an author. Even though years ago I started writing about 1995 on legal things, since I am a lawyer on negotiation and stuff like that. And around 2000, I decided I had this weird story in my head what became out the last surviving dinosaur, the Tyrannosaurus. It's a story about the smallest dinosaur on the planet that actually was the most dangerous dinosaur, cranking out saurus. It's a Jewish word for problems. You think you have saurus? If I had your saurus, I'd be doing cartwheels. Nobody could outdo my saurus. So I wrote that book, and then some critic said, well, he didn't talk about overcoming crankiness. And I was all about embracing crankiness. And that led to the Grown Up Guide to Effective Crankiness, the Crankosaurus Method, and Cranky Superpowers, Life Lessons Learned from the Comic Crankosaurus Chronicles. And I'm also the author of a Snoodle series, the most recent one, Snoodles in Space, Episode 2, The Zulu Strike Back. And then I have Snoodles in Space, a Snoodle, the Zulu, Cadoodles, One Happy Schmoodle. But it all started with Snoodles, Cadoodles, Poodles, and lots of noodles. So that's a little bit about me.
Wow, cool. That's really neat. Okay, well, we got that out of the way, and you showed us all
Yes.
your books. So let's actually pick one, talk about it, and get deep into it. And what's it all about?
First of all, the adult books, oh, he's writing about crankiness, effective crankiness, and cranky superpowers. What I hate being cranky. And today is election day in the United States. Anybody,
Mhm.
we're just being recorded. It might not be shown. So there's a lot of cranky people
Mm,
walking around here, just with this election stuff and that stuff. So nobody wants to be cranky. Uh, so I'm about effective crankiness and embracing crankiness and finding and discovering our superpowers from crankiness. And I have a license to be cranky, just so you know, because I'm an attorney. And I
okay.
always say, like law school is 3 years, 3 years. The first year, you learn how to get on people's nerves. The second year, you learn how to rub people the wrong way.
Yep.
And then the third year, you learn how to get underneath people's skin. And we could do all three things exactly the same time. You're a lawyer.
Yeah.
So I surround myself with these people, and I'm one myself. So I get a little cranky sometimes.
Okay. Okay. I could tell you that in post-production, when we were under such pressure, us editors, to get things out, there was a lot of crankiness going on there. And in my 39 years of being an editor, I started as an assistant, obviously. I have known three editors who said, "Screw this, I'm going to become a lawyer." I'm not kidding, it's true. Maybe there's a connection there. Yeah.
maybe, yes,
Yeah.
maybe.
I'm really digging what you're saying. So this book, which one is it that we're talking about?
What we're talking about, like, well, they overlap. There's a
Mhm.
Grown Up Guide to Effective Crankiness, which it really focuses on the common crankets. I call it the common cranketsaurus. So if you think about the common cold, oh, you got a cold. It's a common cold because you have two or three in a year. But a common cranketsaurus, you could get two or three in the morning alone.
Right.
So really, it's about like, hey, this happens to everybody, we all get it. We all have to deal with it. How can we deal with it effectively? So I have the
Yeah.
Crankosaurus doctor, Crankosaurus lawyer, Crankosaurus kryptonite. We all have our kryptonite.
Yeah.
So like in that book, it's not like Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen is like, oh man, that Superman with that kryptonite problem again. Well, let's find a different superhero.
Hmm.
Uh, knowing that we all have our buttons, our kryptonite. It's like, so like in our relationships, like if let's say my wife's going to see her family and her family is her kryptonite, things like that. So we know it. We know it's coming. We're not going to get knocked down by it. So it's
Hmm.
just, oh, okay, this is what happens to everybody. So I talk about with kids, like use your words, use your words. Don't act out, use your words. And okay, I'll use my words. I'm angry, I'm angry. Oh, I'm angry again. Oh, tomorrow, you know what? I'll be angry again. Oh, well, Steve knows how to use his words, but he must be a very angry person. So I prefer, no, I'm not this angry person. I just have a common crankosaurus, something that everybody experiences, something that everybody experiences very, very often.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to put a label on myself. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, yes, I'm a little cranky, just.
Okay. With these two books, which before I record here, I mean, we had a little pre-chat. You said these are for adults, whereas you've written some strictly children's books, which we'll get to very soon. Are these self-help type books?
So both books have won awards on self-help.
Oh,
This book has won awards, first prize, gold medal for self-help, inspirational, and humor. So this book, if you don't like to laugh, if you don't want any help, and you don't need any inspiration, don't read this book. It's
okay.
not for you. So this has more like storytelling. It's just
Okay.
what I have on that, and it has it tells stories, but you take away something with it, just and even in my first book, I'm doing that, and sometimes I'm writing for myself. So so one chapter in the Grown-Up Guide to Effective Crankiness is called "Drive Me Crazy Crankosaurus," and it's this line I think everybody has, like it's like the button people press. So like it drives me crazy when, and then you fill in the blank. I can't understand how, and you fill in the blank, and that makes me crazy. It's just like so. And it was a realization that happened. Like my daughter was just complaining to me. She had to get her uh, windshield replaced, so she goes to the windshield store, whatever auto repair, windshield repair place. Its only thing to do is windshield repair. And they didn't repair it right. It was leaking it was raining and got through the windshield. And it's like, so I had this drive me crazy moment. It drives me crazy when the one thing you're supposed to do, I can't understand that I can't do it right. So and I put together stories. So like we go to a restaurant and like you have that experience where you're sitting down and people come in after you and they're getting dessert. They're eating dessert already, and you're still waiting to take your order. They haven't taken my order, and this person has like a 6-course meal. I can't understand. It drives me crazy when I get to a restaurant, no one's taking my order, and the person next to me gets like this, like it's ready to leave, and they were there like an hour after me, and I can't understand how. And the thing about what happens is that in the story, like even in the windshield story, there's the guy who installed it, the owner, the customer. In this case, it's the customer, the waiter, the owner. The owner's like, I can't understand how this waiter didn't. The waiter can't. I can't understand how. Drives me crazy when I'm being directed by the owner, and I can't take this table because I have to go to that table, and of course the customer is all driven crazy. So we're all end up crazy. So again, by making it common, it's like, oh, this happens to everybody, and then I could slow it down. I could say, oh yeah, yeah, that happens. That.
Hmm.
Okay, it happened. So, like in Cranky Superpowers, I have a chapter called Crankosaurus Menopause, and I talk about in like I have a rule with my partner. I say, we get to be 5% insane, 20% crazy, but have to be 75% normal. And then you might think, oh my goodness, I'm doing the math, 20% crazy. There's 365 days in a year. That's like 73 days in a year of craziness. I don't know if I can handle that.
Right.
But I'm saying it's counterintuitive, So
Mhm.
so if I said, John, you're allowed 0% crazy, no crazy for you. So when you do become crazy, because we all become crazy, you can't say you became crazy. You could say, I'm not one who's crazy. You're the one who's really crazy. And that
Okay.
makes me crazy because who likes to be told they're crazy by a crazy person?
That's
So
right.
like, and then we have this big insane fight. So by giving you permission to be crazy, 20%, you end up using like 1% in a year. If you
Right.
have there's
Sure.
empathy that's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
okay, it's all right. Oh, yeah, it's fine. And you appreciate the ability to be crazy once in a while. It's just it's not going to be go against you. And because of that, and then me, I'm not reacting. Johnny's a little crazy. It happens. He gets
Mhm.
20%, maybe 2%. No big deal.
Yeah.
So we're both appreciating the moment of the permission to be crazy, and we're less crazy because of it.
Yeah.
Again, it's like a little story, but it,
Sure.
it becomes humorous, and then it says, yeah, that makes sense. So that's what I try to do.
Very interesting. When I read about you, the word Zen popped up. So, how much of this way of thinking did you use that part of your brain that also deals with Zen?
Yeah, so yeah, I like to turn things upside down, and I think
Yes.
that's like a Zen thing.
Yes.
And uh, my first wife, she passed away from she had ALS, but she got me to go to the village Zendo in Greenwich Village, and we would sit on the cushion and just stare at the wall, and you watch thoughts, and you have to chant some all this stuff about evil karma, um, like my greed, anger, and ignorance, and I forget all about that. And the thing about my wife, she was a therapist, and she had me read all these books, like self-help books, and a lot of it was like psychology, where it's like it's the psychologist's greatest hits. It's just like, oh, I have this great idea, and you read about this patient, oh wow, that's a good idea, and then the next patient, oh, that's the same idea but a different characters. Then it's the third chapter, three, same idea. It's like, okay, it's a therapist's greatest hits. I'm getting bored already. The Zen book uh, was about like some guy who reached enlightenment. Like I want like in like his path to enlightenment, and you can never figure out how this person uh, got to be enlightened. It's just like he like some light bulb went off. It was I never could figure out how they ever got enlightenment. They just declare themselves to be enlightened. Now at chapter 35, I am now an enlightened human being. I don't know how they did it, what happened, where did they go. He had to finish the book. No, you know what? Since I'm talking about Zen and I have to be enlightened, I might as well have the last chapter how I finally became enlightened. So so I actually going to, it's like it's almost like a relief where it's like I don't want enlightenment. Like I feel more enlightened not wanting enlightenment. So
Hmm.
it's like counterintuitive. So
Sure.
I look at stuff and trying to turn it upside down or trying to take like just the crankiness as opportunities. So like, and I start telling stories. Inky, Pinky, and Stinky, the three little pigs, and they're all going into university. And Inky and Pinky didn't turn out too well. And then finally, Stinky is in class, and the lecture was how to put lipstick on a pig. And of course, Stinky, being a pig, is thinking, "What a stupid class! Like, who needs to put lipstick on the pig?" It's just and Stinky starts to daydream and thinks about, oh, it was so much more fun to play in mud, and then he thought about bricks to make mud bricks out of mud, and he made a brick house, which didn't turn out too well for the wolf, the big bad wolf,
Yeah.
and uh, and then they ended up naming the town Stinky Town,
Okay.
and that was because of like daydreaming, and so
Yeah.
so uh, uh, I have a story in my chat, Crankosaurus Menopause, Seymour and Zelda, and they're about to get married. And Mister says, Seymour, do you take this Zelda for better or for worse? He said, yeah, sure. No, no, no. You have to pick one or the other, better or for
Oh,
worse. No, you can't pick both.
okay.
So he goes, well, like when Zelda, she gets very nervous. I don't want to put pressure on her. I had to twist her arm to say yes to me in the first place. I'll go with worse. And then when they go to Seymour, the minister goes to Zelda, excuse me. Zelda goes, oh, when he picks Seymour, I was picking from the bottom of the barrel. And you pick up from the bottom of the barrel, and you hope to get a little better, so I'll go with better. And see, what do you mean better? And he wants to change his answer, and then they fight. And could we do both, better or worse? Can we do both? And the minister is no, no, no. For that, you need lawyers. You need,
Okay.
what, like it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. How do you determine who became better, who became worse? What happens if you do become better? What happens to become worse? Let's say you think you became better, but your partner believes you became worse. This all has to be negotiated out.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
so they end up picking worse. And then Zelda goes, I'm feeling sick already. We'll take sickness, So
Okay.
so
Wow.
again, like turning things a little
Yeah,
upside down.
absolutely. Well, let's move over to your children's books. What's your latest one? And then you can tell me how that relates to the other ones.
Snoodles in Space, episode 2, The Zulu Strikes Back. So this was like, and first of all of my kid books I've done with Andy Case, my illustrator. He's out in Nottingham, England. I get to fly out to Nottingham and have pints with him and hang out with him. And it's so much fun. It's just so much fun doing the kids' books because it's a collaboration of ideas. But this book, uh, Snoodles in Space episode 2, The Zulu Strike Back. That was exciting when you get the light bulb in your head and it goes, oh yeah, that's the story. So the whole thing, the Snoodle runs on noodles, just for people. The first book introduced the Snoodle. It replaced the Krautmobile, which ran on sauerkraut, and people would get really cranky because by 10 o'clock everyone stunk like sauerkraut like all day long. It's just like, so the Snoodle runs on noodles. You just go to Ramanolium, you fill up your Snoodle with noodles, and off you go. And then you get home, you press a button and get a bowl of noodles. You have dinner waiting for you. So everybody loved the Snoodle. It made everybody happy. So by book 3, episode 2, every book has like a new automobile, or an older automobile, and has a museum. So in this book, I talk about like the richest family in town before the Snoodle, even before the Krautmobile, was the Grudel, which ran on gruel, and gruel is like stinky. Ugh, it was
Mm.
worse than sauerkraut, and uh, the idea, I had like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, uh, the Gene Wilder movie. I was watching it,
Yeah, yeah.
which is always the best version for me, the Gene Wilder, the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and like a light bulb went off, and I said, "Wow!" Like there was like the media frenzy, like all the TV crews, the paparazzi, the newspaper people, all gathered by the chocolate factory to see these kids, and no one ever went in the chocolate factory before. And you have the Charlie, he's such a nice boy, but you never think about whatever happened to these other kids. That they did, one turned blue, one turned whatever. It didn't turn out too well, and I'm guessing that when they went back to school, everybody heard. It must have been on in newspapers, must have gotten out, must have been on TV, and these kids were like kind of shamed and embarrassed. So again, because I like turning things upside down, I make these kids into the heroes of the book. So they end up saving the planet. So Frippy Frumpy Fruital has a Fitsy Witsy Doodle. So first he fits and then he wits and then he popped. And Wimpy Whiny Woodle, his sister, had a Twizzly Slimadoodle. So first she swizzled and then she twizzled and then she turned into a bucket of slime. So it didn't turn out too well for them, and they have to decide whether they could save the planet from becoming willy-nilly noodles and dilly-dally doodles, complete nincompoops because they're going to put willy-nilly dilly dust into the water supply, or the evil cadoodle. This is from the planet Zoodle. It's going to do that, and then it wouldn't turn out too well. But these kids came through. Yeah.
How big is your book? Children's books are generally short. What's this one like?
Well, there was it was an interesting story. So, like this book is like about 38 pages, and kind of relatively get through it pretty quickly. The next two are like 64 pages long, like 64 pages long, and that was more of a challenge, and it's more like a graphic novel, if anything, and the also the fun thing is that like with every book you get like the characters, just I don't know if you see it over here, the characters and the technology, whatever. So the world keeps growing, gets bigger and bigger. So, and I have to retell the story. Uh, so when you pick up the second book, you don't have to like read the first book to know what happened. So I kind of like bring
Okay.
everything back. And in Snoodles in Space episode 2, I bring it back like a movie theater previously on Snoodles in Space, and you have the Snoodleplex, and everyone's lining up to go into the movie theater where I could just recap the story. So next book is coming out next year is Escape from Zooltras. And again, what I'll do there is again to recap the story in a way, be almost like this. It's Noodleham, so the state of the city speech. The mayor of Noodleham talks about the heroes of our city,
Okay.
and by retelling the heroes of the city, and it's like a Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade where
Mm,
our heroes are up in the sky
yeah.
big balloons,
Yeah.
and uh, and that brings out the story, but it leaves out the music scene. So next book is on the music of Noodleham and the big hits. And of course, the biggest band in not only Noodleham but in the world was Swifty Swoodle and the Doo-Wop-A-Doodles. And she went on this world tour and made a gazillion dollars. And of course, Cludle the Grand Rudel from the planet Zoodle hears about this, and he's kind of like, he's just a character.
Hmm.
But he hears about this gazillion dollars, and he has his own band, Cludle and the Grand Rudels. He decides to go to Earth because he wants to get gazillion dollars, but he sucks. He just kind of sucks, just like he gets booed off stage. He goes disgraced back to Zoodle, and he wants revenge.
Okay.
And so we have to save our friends in
Sure.
that book. But yes,
It's kind of silly, but you're making a point, right? Is that the kind of language you
yes,
use in the book?
there's a message
Okay.
here. Because in the last book there's like shaming, and that these kids make a decision, and how again I like to not make it about like these kids, but like when I grew up as a kid. Uh, I remember when I was in kindergarten, somebody thought, or it was first grade, I was called the boogeyman because someone thought I picked my boogers and I ate my boogers. And I did not eat my boogers. I was flicking the booger on somebody's hair, which is different than
Sure.
eating a booger.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was, and then like nicknames as a kid,
Mm.
like I was in the bowling league, and and I hated nicknames, but I had my initials in the bowling ball, SNJ, Stephen Neil Joseph, and some person started calling me Snidge, and I hated that like a
Mm.
snitch. So yeah, so like that shaming thing, make it universal, but at the same time doesn't define you, doesn't like you could rise to the occasion and do the right things, and that's what these kids do. Uh, in the book before that, Snoodle the Coodles, Zulu Cadoodles, One Happy Schmoodle. In that book, we have Norman Noodle and Sally Strudel, and they're always scolding their kids Brianna Brainy Brutal, he would say, the mother would say, it's not brain surgery, she didn't make her bed or something. And Ricky Rockadoodle, it's not rocket science, it's just again scolding the kids. And the point, like this common phrase, I like to take these common sayings. Like when I say, it's not brain surgery, usually I'm referring to most simplest tasks. You didn't
Okay.
make your bed. You couldn't do the most simplest thing. How can I expect it? Like, why should I even get out of bed? So it turned out Brianna Brainy Brutal actually, uh, her uncle Herbie Snoodleman was a great brain surgeon, and uh, and Sarah Krudelman, who happened to be the brother and also uncle, was a great scientist, as well as like creating the Krautmobile. But then he created the prickly peppered purple potion powered pickle,
Mhm.
which you put it in a snoodle, you could go like 10 times the speed of light into outer space and created space travel, which now we have snoodles in space.
Wow.
So, uh, so, but that lesson again, there's it's ridiculous, and what I try to do, and I say this, I want to be that make something completely ridiculous, but at the same time totally believable that you can actually, wow, I want to be in that world. And then for a kid, anything's like it becomes magical, and then anything is possible. So
Mhm. Okay.
so, like in the first book, also museums. The first book, there's an art museum. The second book, there's a space exploration museum. The third book, there's an aquarium because they clean the waters. Because as a kid, I loved museums, like the curiosity and the history and the exploration and what is possible.
Yeah.
So I have that in the book. So every book has to have a new museum. Uh, so
Good. Good.
and the poodle, every book has to have a poodle. So
Okay.
this book, there's Droodle the poodle. The last book was Schmoodle, then there was Snoodle. Next book will be Floodle the poodle. Uh, so which plays a flute because musical poodle.
Okay. Sure.
So yeah, I have fun with it.
It sounds like you do. Sounds like you do for sure. Your first two books that we talked about, the cranky ones, you say you won some gold awards for that.
Yes.
How are the children's books, the Snoodles books doing?
This last book won for best adventure children's book,
Hmm.
uh, and just the three books won the book award for best children's book series.
Okay.
So Anne's gotten a bunch of other awards. There's the Anthem Award for this book, which is on environmental, an environment books on environment, because it talks about cleaning up, being creative and making the world a better place.
Yeah.
Uh, so
Good. Good.
I
Good
kind of
stuff.
lose count, but all of them they get like Mom's Choice Gold Awards, whatever.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I don't keep a record, just
Okay. Sure. All right. Hey, out of curiosity though, because I speak to a lot of authors. I'm one myself. How do you go about entering something whereby which you're chosen to win an award, or does it just come your way because you sell so many books? How does that work?
No, I mean, I love the writing. Marketing is the work. But you like, when I write a book, you could submit books for book reviews. You could submit books for book awards. So this book just won the NYC Big Book Award, Distinguished Favorite for Humor. And they actually put it up in Times Square. So I got my face in the book in Times Square. But again, I have to pay something, a fee to enter into a book award.
Okay.
And uh, I've been, and of course, you pay the fee. They could say, your book's, forget it, or I get to win awards. So
Hmm.
that's how I do it.
Well, that's good to
Yes.
know. That's good to know because I've been meaning to ask somebody who says they won an award, and I finally get the answer.
One
So it's part
and
of it's
just
a
one thing,
yeah,
one interesting thing. This is because we're just having a conversation,
yeah, yeah.
so I could bring up stuff. One
Sure.
interesting because you asked about, oh, that's like a longer book. It's just uh, the interesting thing about writing books and selling like the kid books are fun. They're more challenging, like from like the cost standpoint to sell, because like especially when it's a longer book, you say, oh, that's a longer book. And what the challenge is the cost, because it's more expensive. The paper is more expensive.
Yes.
It's like I like this one has glossy, cut nice colors and stuff like that. And uh, the journey on that one is the story, because like of course the first thing I'm going to do is like I actually went to the Oscar Awards gifting room where I gave out signed copies to people who were nominated for the Oscars. So I had to get all these books to the Oscars, and it wasn't the book. This was the Snoodle Cadoodle book, episode Snoodles in Space, the first one. Uh, so I went through the U.S. printing company, whatever. Uh, I'm not going to name different companies now, but it was like $25 a book for me to
Yeah.
print.
Yeah.
And if I'm selling for 25 to get to the bookstores, you have to price it like 60, $80.
I
And
know.
uh it and then and the quality was terrible. And then so then I went to Ingram, which is like almost like a monopoly. Ingram were print on demand,
Yeah.
and it was $14. Again, it was still expensive. Uh, and again, it was like the quality was like it was like paper mache paper. The colors weren't as good, and because of the discounts, again, it's priced too high. So I had to go to China, and this like this book, and I did it for this book as well. But this book is like beautiful, like poster quality, thick paper, beautiful color, and this book cost me $1.50 to print.
Wow.
So for $25 to get lousy quality, for $1.50, perfect, beautiful, like wonderful. And it's another $1.50 for shipping for like, I get about like 1,500 books just to start. And so it's $3. And then I have a warehouse, which is not that expensive. It's still less than paying
I
$14
see.
or $25 a
I
book.
see. Yeah.
And they put it up on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and all the stores, and through the book distributors. So yeah, that was an interesting journey. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I could sell this uh, for like $20.
In order to do it your way through China, does that mean that you then, I think you mentioned you ordered 1,500 copies and then you sell it, what, through your website?
Th well, I use Itasca uh, books that the only thing they do is warehouse books, and they
Okay.
put it on their website, itasca.com, that could be found there. So everything is there. They're the distributor,
Okay.
and but what they will also do is put it on Amazon, put it on Barnes and Nobles, put it up on different, and put it out there. Um, the distributors could find it. So for any other website, you could find it.
Okay. Okay.
So they take care of all the distribution, the shipping, whatever. So whether you want my book through Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, or your local retailer, there's like whatever, or even different
Yeah.
online book places, you could find it.
Okay. So you're literally warehousing it somewhere else, which of course costs you
Yes,
money, as you said before. And when
yes,
someone clicks on your book on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or anything, it goes to that company that's warehousing and then they ship it out.
they ship it out.
And then
Yes,
Amazon takes their cut and Barnes and Noble takes their cut, but then you get your
yes,
cut
and I
and
get my cut.
got it.
Yes,
Fascinating. I'm gonna have to learn how to do that. That's great.
yeah.
You want to talk about your website?
My website, stephenjosephauthor.com. Obviously has all my books. It also has two blogs. I started out with my cranky book blog, crankiness blog. And my first book was The Last Surviving Dinosaur, Tyrannosaurus. And when somebody said, hey, you didn't not talk enough about uh, overcoming crankiness, I was about embracing crankiness. I started the blog. And that's when I had enough material that I have a grown-up guide to effective crankiness. So you'll get all my cranky stuff, all my stories, you could go to the website and read the blog, you get the sense of what's going on.
Okay.
Uh, I also have a lawyer blog, the Defense Canal Rest. I teach negotiation and I write about like negotiation and litigation management. And I always say I love talking to attorneys, say uh, like arguments take away your power. And lawyers like, oh, I want to argue this, I want to argue that. What do you mean I can't argue? What am I going to do? I can't argue. And I say it's not about that you don't argue. It's like you want to talk in a way where it's like when I have these facts, when I have X, the only logical conclusion is Y. I'm
Hmm.
not arguing with you. It's just this is what I have. Yeah. Uh, this is the only logical conclusion. And again, it's an argument, but you're trying to make it not sound like an argument. So,
Okay.
I always talk about like, uh, I make stories and turning things around where attorneys say we have to fight fire with fire. Oh, I go, this is an interesting thing. I went to the fire chief in my local fire station. I say, what high impact explosives do you use to put out fire? I'm thinking about smoking in bed. How much lighter fluid do I have to put on the mattress before I light up? And he told me they actually use water. Who knew such a thing? Water puts out fire.
Yeah.
You can write that one down.
Yeah.
So again, I say water is crystal clear, provides clarity. What is our water?
Yeah.
Always want to
Yeah.
know what our
Yeah.
water is.
Yeah.
So
Excellent.
yeah, so I write about that stuff too.
Okay.
It's all fun.
Out of curiosity, so we were talking about your sales and how you conduct your business. What puts more money in your pocket, ordering your books through your website or through Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and all that?
Uh, if you go through my website, not all my books are on through Tosca. My last two is through Tosca, and that's probably where I make the most return.
Okay.
But I do a decent return on Amazon. Amazon has I have it's on audiobooks, it's on Kindle, it's a
Right.
soft cover book. It
Yeah.
has all the different,
Yeah.
especially my adult books. My adult books is like I would say Amazon is the best place to
Yeah.
get my books.
And they have a
Uh,
bigger reach, I suppose. Yeah, for sure.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, Stephen, it's been just a delight talking to you. I really enjoyed this. Do you want to have the final word? I could put you on full frame and then you could sell your books even more and it's sort of like an elevator pitch type of thing. You want to do that?
Sure.
All right, let's do that.
Oh, okay. So anyway, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. It was great being with John. It was a real pleasure. And again, these books, like my Snoodles books, I really write them not only for kids that will enjoy the words, but for the adults. There's a lot of fun stuff in here. The adult pick the illustrations. There's a lot of newspaper clippings that is like adults get that don't. So I say it's for ages 5 through 99. And these books again, really, uh, I I love the response that people find them life changing. People say laugh out loud. These books. So if you want to, I say it's a help yourself book. Not self-help because I don't know what self-help is. You have to help yourself. This book uh, just puts the mirror and makes you crack up and tells the stories where you latch onto it. And again, you'll have a lot of fun. Money back guarantee and it's on Amazon, by the way, 4.8 out of 5 stars. Over 300 reviews of this book,
Excellent.
4.7 on this, and over 400 reviews. Complete works of William Shakespeare, only 4.6. So you have to pick between Shakespeare and this. This has a better rating than Shakespeare, just so you
Excellent.
know.
Good for you. This has been a blast, Stephen. Excellent.
Well, thank you.
And you're welcome back anytime. I mean, you're planning on writing more, so by next season, next year, you look me up through, I believe it's a company that Shirley is the person I deal with.
Yes, that's
So
right.
she'll be hearing from me when I finish this edit and how much fun I had talking with you. Stephen,
Well, thank you.
I wish you all the best in the future. You take care of yourself now.
Thank you, John. You take care too. Bye.
Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, and if you like what I do here on Tell Me About Your Book, then I invite you to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and even leave a comment if you wish. And if you are an author, I would sure love to hear from you. Until such time, keep on writing, and remember to be kind to one another.
You'll catch a dose. Only if you want it.
What makes it break these lies is when it makes your backbone twitch and your ass go into a spasm.